Hello everyone, this is your friend Naruto Fix, and we are back with another epic What If Naruto fanfic. Which is, what if Ino's smile for Naruto became the light he needed most? If you love Naruto fanfics, then don't forget to like, subscribe, and join the journey with me. So, let's start the fanfic. The sun dipped behind the rooftops of Konoha, staining the village in soft shades of gold and orange. Children's laughter echoed from the playgrounds, merchants closed their shops, and a soft wind carried the scent of blooming flowers from Yamanaka's floral shop. But at the edge of it all, sitting quietly on the swing near the academy gate, was Naruto Uzumaki. His small hands gripped the rusted chains, and his eyes, blue like the morning sky, looked down at the dusty ground. Around him, parents picked up the children, smiling, chatting, embracing. No one looked his way. They never did. Naruto had grown used to it, the whispers, the cold glances, the mothers pulling their children away when he passed. But no matter how strong he tried to be, there were evenings like this one where even his grin couldn't hide the ache. He'd tried again today, trying to make friends, trying to make someone laugh, but all it earned him was silence. And yet, as the light dimmed and the air cooled, something new happened. A voice, gentle but bright, called out from behind him. "Hey, you're Naruto, right?" Naruto blinked and turned. Standing a few steps away was a girl around his age, blonde hair tied in a high ponytail, her eyes like the color of clear sky after rain. She wore the standard academy uniform, but her expression held something no one else had ever shown him before, kindness. "Ino Yamanaka," she said with a cheerful tilt of her head. "You looked kinda lonely, so I thought I'd say hi." Naruto blinked, unsure how to respond. No one ever said something like that to him. He grinned awkwardly. "Hey, lonely? Nah, I was just, thinking about how awesome I'm gonna be one day." "Believe it." Ino laughed softly, not the fake laugh people gave when they wanted to leave fast, but a real one, light and melodic. "You're funny. I like that." For a moment, Naruto forgot the weight in his chest. That laugh, it wasn't mocking. It wasn't pity. It was warm. He didn't know it then, but that single smile would become the spark that lit a part of his heart he'd long thought dead. Days turn into weeks. The next few days at the academy felt different. Naruto still got scolded by Iruka-sensei, still got glares from parents, but there was one small change: Ino would wave at him every morning. Sometimes she'd sneak him a dango during lunch. Sometimes she'd just sit near him when everyone else avoided his desk. Naruto, in his usual loud way, tried to act cool about it. "You don't have to hang out with me, ya no. People will talk." Ino only shrugged. "Let them. You make class less boring anyway." But deep inside, Naruto's heart was twisting. Every time she smiled, every time her laughter reached him, the darkness that used to choke his soul started fading away bit by bit. For the first time, he wasn't invisible. He was seen. The flower shop promise. One afternoon, Naruto was walking past the Yamanaka flower shop when he saw her standing behind the counter, arranging flowers with her mother. He peeked through the window, mesmerized. Ino's hands were gentle, her smile radiant. There was a peace around her that Naruto couldn't describe. When she noticed him staring, she giggled and waved him in. "Naruto, come here." He hesitated. Me? Nah, I don't wanna." "Just come." She pulled him inside, and the air was filled with the scent of roses and lilacs. Her mother gave a polite nod, though Naruto could sense a bit of hesitation. But Ino didn't care. She pulled him straight to the counter and held up a small white flower. "This one's for you." Naruto blinked. "For me? Why?" "Because it means hope," she said, her smile soft but firm. "And you always look like you need some." Naruto stared at the flower like it was something sacred. No one had ever given him a gift before. Not once. He took it, trembling slightly. "Thanks, Ino, I'll take care of it. I swear." "Good," she said with a playful wink. "And if anyone makes fun of you, tell them Ino Yamanaka said they're dumb." Naruto laughed, genuinely this time. "You're weird, Ino." "Maybe," she replied. "But you smiled. So, mission accomplished." The growing bond. As the years passed, their connection deepened in quiet, subtle ways. When Sakura ignored Naruto's jokes, Ino would chuckle softly at them. When others mocked him for failing again, she'd leave a small note on his desk, "You'll get it next time, I believe in you." When he came back from training bruised and dirty, she'd scold him for being reckless and then secretly slip him a healing ointment. Naruto started training harder, not to prove himself to the village, but because he didn't want to look weak in front of her. And Ino, though she still laughed with Sakura and the others, found her thoughts wandering toward him more often. She'd catch herself watching him spar, smiling when he grinned despite losing. Something about Naruto made her feel alive, like his fire could melt even the coldest night. A rainy evening. It was on one of those evenings that everything changed. The rain had started pouring just as Naruto finished training. Soaked and shivering, he sat under a small awning, muttering to himself. "Figures. Even the weather hates me." A soft voice answered through the rain, "Not true. The weather just doesn't know how stubborn you are." Naruto looked up, and there she was again. Ino stood with an umbrella, her hair damp but her smile radiant. "What are you doing out here?" she asked, walking closer. Naruto grinned weakly. "Training. Gotta keep getting stronger, right?" Ino sighed and held the umbrella over him. "You'll get sick, idiot." He blinked at her, then whispered, almost unconsciously, "Why do you care so much?" For a moment, she didn't answer. Then her eyes softened. "Because someone has to." That one sentence broke through Naruto's walls like sunlight through storm clouds. He couldn't speak, couldn't move. All he could do was stare at her, the girl who smiled at him when no one else did, who saw him not as a monster, but as a boy trying to be loved. When she smiled again, it wasn't just kindness, it was light. And that light, fragile and warm, found a home deep inside his heart. That night. Naruto went home that night and placed the dried white flower she'd given him years ago beside his bed. He stared at it for a long time before whispering, "Ino, I'll protect that smile no matter what." He didn't understand the feeling yet, not fully. But it was something pure, something he'd never felt before. Maybe it was love, maybe it was something beyond that. All he knew was that her smile made the world less lonely. And for Naruto Uzumaki, that was everything. The silent realization. Ino, lying in her bed that same night, felt her heart race for reasons she couldn't explain. Why did his grin make her chest tighten? Why did she worry so much when he got hurt? Why did she feel proud when he refused to give up, even when the world turned its back on him? She rolled over, hiding her face in the pillow, smiling to herself. "Stupid Naruto," she whispered, "you're not supposed to make me feel like this." Outside, the rain stopped, and the moonlight spilled gently through her window, just like her heart, quietly realizing that maybe, just maybe, she was falling in love. Morning sunlight spilled across the village roofs, shimmering off the dew-touched tiles. Naruto was already awake, standing on top of the Hokage monument, gazing over the peaceful Konoha that never seemed to look back at him. But today, his grin wasn't forced. Somewhere down there, near the flower shop, a girl with bright eyes was probably watering lilies. He clenched his fist and whispered, "I'm gonna make her proud today." Believe it. Academy moments. At the academy, the class buzzed as Iruka-sensei introduced another round of shuriken practice. Naruto, as usual, missed half the targets. The laughter that followed stung like needles, until he heard one gentle clap from the side. "Nice throw, Naruto," Ino called out with a smile that silenced the mockery for a heartbeat. He turned, scratching his head. "Hey, you think so? You hit closer than last week," she teased. "That's progress." He laughed. "Guess I'm awesome after all." Sakura rolled her eyes. Kiba muttered something under his breath. But Ino's grin stayed. It was small, simple, yet to Naruto it felt like the world finally had color. Later that day, during lunch, he sat under the tree eating his cup ramen alone. Or so he thought. "Mind sharing a spot?" Ino's voice chimed again. Naruto nearly choked. What, you wanna sit here? You'll ruin your rep, ya no." Let it get ruined, she said, sitting beside him anyway. Besides, your ramen smells better than anything in the cafeteria. Naruto blinked, then grinned so wide his cheeks hurt. He handed her a pair of chopsticks from his pouch. They ate together quietly while the breeze carried the smell of ramen and flowers. For once, silence didn't feel empty. An unexpected kindness. Days turned to weeks, and soon it became a habit. Every afternoon, Ino would find Naruto somewhere, training field, ramen shop, even at the swing under the old tree. She'd talk, tease, laugh, and sometimes just sit beside him without saying anything. Naruto never asked why. He was too scared she might stop if he questioned it. But one evening, curiosity won. "Hey, Ino," he murmured, watching the sunset burn across the rooftops, "why me? I mean, there are 100 other people you could hang out with." She thought for a moment, her voice softer than the wind. "Because when everyone looks away, you still smile. You don't fake it, you fight for it. I like that kind of strength." Naruto swallowed hard. "You really think I'm strong?" "I know you are." Those words echoed through him long after she left. For the first time, he believed he might actually be worth something. The festival night. When the annual Konoha Lantern Festival arrived, the village glowed with light. Laughter, fireworks, and music filled the air, yet Naruto walked the streets alone, hands in pockets, trying not to look at the families passing by. He was halfway through turning back when a familiar voice called, "Naruto." He turned to see Ino running toward him, dressed in a soft lavender yukata with tiny flower patterns. Her hair shimmered under the lantern glow. "Whoa," he whispered before he could stop himself. Ino blushed faintly. "You could at least say hi first, dummy." He laughed nervously. "Right. Hi." She handed him a paper lantern. "Help me light this one." "I made a wish." "What did you wish for?" he asked as the flame flickered inside the lantern. "If I tell you, it won't come true." She smiled playfully, then added, "But maybe you can help make it happen." Quote, Naruto's heart thudded so hard he could barely breathe. Together they released the lantern into the sky, watching it float upward, joining hundreds of others. Ino closed her eyes, whispering, "May the people we care about never be alone again." Quote, Naruto stared at her profile, the light reflecting in her eyes, and realized something: she wasn't just a friend anymore. She was the light he'd been chasing his whole life. The shadow returns. But light always draws shadows. A few days later, a group of older kids cornered Naruto behind the training ground, mocking him about the Nine Tails rumor. He clenched his fists, ready to fight, but there were too many. "Monster, why don't you just leave the village?" They pushed him down, dirt on his face, laughter ringing in his ears, until a sudden voice shouted, "Stop it." Ino stood there, furious, eyes blazing. "Touch him again and I'll make sure my father finds out who your parents are." Quote, the boys hesitated, then scattered. She knelt beside Naruto, brushing the dust off his cheek. "You okay?" Naruto looked up at her, eyes trembling. "Why'd you do that? People will." "I don't care," she cut him off. "No one deserves to be treated like that." For the first time, Naruto didn't smile. He just looked at her, the tears he'd always swallowed finally spilling down. She didn't say anything. She just hugged him. It was quick, soft, but real. And in that single moment, the world felt quiet, no whispers, no loneliness, no hate. Just warmth. Training and flowers. After that day, Ino began meeting him secretly to train. She said she wanted to get stronger too, not just for herself, but for people who couldn't protect themselves. They practiced taijutsu, chakra control, and teamwork drills. Naruto would fall and laugh, Ino would scold him and pull him up. One evening, she brought a small potted plant. "This one's called Forget-Me-Not." Naruto tilted his head. "Weird name. It means loyalty and remembrance," she explained. "Keep it with you. When you see it, remember that someone out there believes in you." Quote, he took it carefully, his grin soft this time. "Then I'll never forget you, Ino." "Believe it." She smiled, blushing faintly. "You'd better not. A moment beneath the stars. Weeks passed. The bond grew stronger, something unspoken, but undeniably there. One night, after another failed transformation jutsu, Naruto lay flat on the grass, exhausted. Ino sat beside him, tracing constellations with her finger. "See that one," she said, pointing at the brightest star. "It's called Hoshi no Megami, the star goddess. My mom used to tell me she watches over people who've lost their way." Naruto stared at it silently. "Then she's been busy watching me, huh?" Ino giggled softly. "Maybe, but I think she sent someone to help, too." He turned to look at her. Their eyes met. The world seemed to pause, the crickets, the wind, even time itself. "Ino," he whispered, voice trembling. "Thank you, for everything." Quote. Her lips parted slightly, her heart beat wild. "You don't have to thank me, Naruto." But he smiled anyway, soft and sincere. "Yeah, I do. 'Cause your smile, it makes me wanna be better. It's like, when you look at me, I don't feel like a monster anymore." Quote. Ino's breath caught. She wanted to say something, anything, but the words wouldn't come. Instead, she leaned closer, resting her head lightly against his shoulder. "You were never a monster," she said quietly. "You were just waiting for someone to see you." Naruto didn't move, didn't speak. He just closed his eyes, memorizing the warmth, the scent of flowers, the feeling of belonging. That night, under the stars of Konoha, two hearts began to beat in the same rhythm, unspoken, uncertain, but real. Morning after the stars. The next morning, Naruto woke up late, sunlight spilling through the thin curtains of his small apartment. For the first time in a long while, he didn't dread the day. The memory of Ino's head resting on his shoulder replayed over and over, her scent of fresh blossoms still clinging to his jacket. He touched the small pot by his window, the forget-me-not swayed gently in the morning air. "She's probably already at the shop," he murmured, grinning. "Guess I should go see her before training." Quote. He didn't notice that he brushed his hair and straightened his jacket more carefully than usual. At the flower shop, the bell over the door chimed softly when Naruto stepped in. The air was filled with colors, violets, lilies, peonies, and behind them stood Ino, humming while she arranged a bouquet. When she looked up, her expression brightened instantly. "Naruto, you're up early. Did the ramen run out or something?" He laughed. "Nah, I just came to water this." He held up the tiny flower pot proudly. "Still alive, see. Told you I'd take care of it." Ino chuckled. "You actually did. I'm impressed. Hey, I'm not totally hopeless." "You're half hopeless," she teased. Then she leaned across the counter, her tone softening. "But you're trying. That's what counts." For a second their hands brushed as she took the pot from him. Her fingers were cool and gentle, his calloused and warm. Both froze, neither daring to pull away too quickly. Naruto's face turned red. Anyway, gotta go or Iruka-sensei'll yell at me." Ino giggled, watching him rush out, tripping on the doorstep. "Still clumsy," she whispered fondly, "but still the same Naruto." Quote. Training grounds. That afternoon, Iruka had the students practice clone techniques. Naruto's frustration rose with every puff of white smoke that ended in a deformed copy. "Ugh, why can't I get this stupid jutsu right?" he yelled. From the sidelines, Ino crossed her arms. "Because you keep doubting yourself, that's why." He turned to her. "I don't doubt myself." She smiled knowingly. "Then prove it. Stop thinking about failing, and just feel it. You've got enough chakra for 10 people, use it." Naruto blinked. "Feel it. Yeah, imagine something, or someone, that makes you feel strong." He took a deep breath, closing his eyes. For the first time, instead of fear or anger, he pictured her, her laughter, her bright eyes, the way she looked at him like he mattered. When he opened his eyes, a perfect clone stood beside him. Iruka's jaw dropped. Ino clapped. "See, I told you." Naruto stared at the clone, then at her, beaming. "You're amazing, Ino." Quote. She smiled softly. "You just needed someone to remind you who you are." The rumor, but peace never lasted long for Naruto. By the end of the week, whispers had spread again, this time not about the demon fox, but about Ino. "Why's she always around that loser? Maybe she pities him. She'll ruin her clan's reputation if she keeps that up. Naruto overheard it all behind the academy building. The words burned more than any wound. That night he couldn't sleep. When morning came, he avoided her for the first time. Ino noticed immediately. Naruto, what's wrong? Nothing, he muttered, shoving his hands in his pockets. You should hang out with your friends. I'm fine. Her eyes narrowed. Did someone say something to you? He shook his head. Nah, just busy. She caught his sleeve before he could walk away. Don't you dare push me away. If people can't understand us, that's their problem. Quote. Her voice trembled a little, but her grip didn't loosen. Naruto looked down at her hand and then at her face, worried, stubborn, beautiful. Finally, he sighed. You really don't care, huh? About rumors. She smiled faintly. Not when I know the truth. Naruto exhaled, half laughing, half relieved. You're crazy. Maybe. She grinned. But I'm your kind of crazy. The mission. A few months later, the academy students were paired for a basic retrieval mission, a short trip to deliver herbs to a nearby outpost. Naruto and Ino were assigned together. The forest was calm, the path lined with tall trees and falling petals. Naruto walked ahead, holding the package tight. Pretty easy mission, huh? Quote. Ino nodded. Yeah, but it's nice. Peaceful. They stopped by a stream to rest. Naruto crouched to splash his face with water, while Ino sat nearby, watching the sunlight ripple across the surface. Hey, Naruto, she said quietly. Do you ever think about what you want after you become Hokage? He looked up, droplets running down his cheeks. After. Guess I never thought about it. I just want everyone to respect me. Quote. She smiled wistfully. And when they finally do? He paused, thinking. Then, I guess I'll finally be happy. Ino's eyes softened. You already make people happy, you know. Naruto blinked. Who? Me. The word hung between them like a whisper carried by the wind. Naruto's chest tightened, he didn't know what to say. She looked away quickly, cheeks flushed. Forget I said that. But he couldn't. The attack. On their way back, a rogue thief jumped from the trees, aiming straight for the herb package. Naruto stepped forward instantly. Ino, stay behind me. The man sneered, swinging a kunai. Naruto blocked it, but the force threw him back. Before he could recover, Ino's chakra flared, thin vines shot from her pouch, binding the attacker's legs. Now, Naruto, she shouted. He leapt up, landing a clean punch that sent the thief sprawling. They tied him up and hurried to deliver the herbs safely. At the outpost, the medic thanked them, and the tension finally broke. Naruto turned to Ino, his voice low. You saved me. She smiled, brushing dirt from her sleeve. We saved each other. Still, he said, stepping closer, I didn't want to see you get hurt. Her eyes met his, serious and steady. Then get stronger, so you don't have to worry. He laughed softly. I will. For both of us. Evening confessions. Back in Konoha, the two sat again under their favorite tree. Fireflies drifted around them, blinking like tiny stars. Ino leaned back, gazing upward. You know, Naruto, sometimes I wonder why you never give up on anyone, even when they hurt you. Because if I give up, he said quietly, I'll become like them. And I don't want to lose the part of me that believes people can change. Quote. She turned to him, eyes glimmering. That's why she stopped herself, blushing furiously. Naruto tilted his head. Why you what? She laughed nervously. Why I like being around you. He smiled wide, pretending not to notice the slip, though his heart hammered like crazy. Then stick around, 'cause I'm not planning to go anywhere. They sat in silence, listening to the gentle hum of the night. For the first time, both felt something beyond friendship bloom quietly in their hearts, soft, warm, unstoppable. The silent wish. As the night deepened, Ino dozed off against Naruto's shoulder again. He didn't move, just watched her sleep, the way her lashes fluttered, the calm rise and fall of her breathing. Someday, he whispered, I'll make sure the whole world sees me the way you do. The forget-me-not petals in his pocket brushed against his fingers, a reminder of her promise, and his. Above them, the same star they had watched before burned brighter than ever. And in that glow, Naruto realized something simple and eternal. Sometimes, a single smile could change an entire life. A change in seasons. Autumn settled over Konoha, crisp leaves tumbling through the streets, the smell of roasted chestnuts filling the air. Training grew harder, days shorter, and the academy's final exams loomed. Naruto had improved, his clones solid, his aim steady, and everyone knew it. Everyone except Naruto, who still doubted himself each time he saw Sasuke's effortless precision. One afternoon he stayed behind, throwing kunai until his fingers blistered. Still at it, came the familiar voice. He turned. Ino stood at the fence, scarf around her neck, breath misting in the cool air. "I have to pass this time," he said, forcing a grin. "If I fail again, Iruka-sensei might lose hope in me." She stepped closer, taking his bandaged hand gently. "Iruka won't give up. And neither will I." Quote. Her touch was light, almost hesitant, but it steadied him more than any pep talk ever could. The training promise. They began meeting secretly behind the flower fields after sunset, Naruto practicing jutsu, Ino focusing her chakra control. The moon turned silver over them as their laughter echoed across the petals. One night, after another failed clone burst into smoke, Naruto groaned. "Why can't I get this right every time?" Ino chuckled, wiping soot off his cheek. "Because you're trying too hard to be perfect instead of being you." He blinked. "Being me. Yeah," she said softly. "The you who keeps going even when it hurts. The one who laughs even when no one laughs back." Quote. He stared at her for a long moment. "You always know what to say, huh? Only when I'm talking to you." Something in her tone made the night feel warmer. Naruto swallowed the words rising in his chest. "Don't fall for her, idiot," but it was already too late. Graduation day. The day of the exam arrived. The classroom buzzed with nerves. Sasuke passed easily. Sakura beamed. When Naruto's turn came, whispers began again. "He'll fail. He always fails." Ino sat on the edge of her seat, hands clenched. Naruto stood before Iruka, closed his eyes, and for a heartbeat thought of her, Ino's voice, her faith, her smile. Shadow Clone Jutsu. The smoke cleared, 3 perfect clones saluted in unison. Iruka's jaw dropped. "You did it, Naruto." Cheers broke out. Ino's eyes shimmered with pride. She ran to him afterward, ignoring the crowd, and threw her arms around his neck. "I knew you could." He froze, then hugged her back, laughing. "Guess your faith really works, Ino." For a brief, shining moment, the world felt right. Evening reflections. That night, fireworks marked the graduates' celebration. Naruto sat on the roof of Ichiraku's, watching bursts of color paint the sky. He didn't hear Ino climb up until she sat beside him, swinging her legs. "Beautiful, huh?" she said. "Yeah," he replied, "but not as much as seeing you smile when I passed." Her cheeks flushed in the glow. "You're getting better at compliments." "Maybe I'm just saying what I really think now." They watched the last firework fade. Silence fell, comfortable, sweet. Ino leaned her head lightly against his shoulder. "Promise me something, Naruto. Anything. No matter how strong you get, don't lose the boy who believed in people." He smiled faintly. "I won't, not as long as you're around." She didn't answer, but her hand found his. Winter whispers. Weeks later, missions began. Team 7 was assigned separately, and Naruto barely saw Ino. Still, he visited the flower shop whenever he returned, sometimes bruised, sometimes grinning. She always had tea ready, always listened. One snowy evening, he came limping in from a mission. She gasped. "Naruto, you're hurt." "It's nothing," he laughed weakly. She ignored him, pulling him to a chair, tending the scrape on his arm with practiced care. "You're reckless," she scolded, voice trembling slightly. He watched her hands move, delicate yet steady. "You worry too much. Someone has to." When she finished wrapping the bandage, she looked up, and for a heartbeat, the air between them changed. The world outside was silent, snow falling softly against the window. "Ino," he murmured. Her eyes flickered. Yeah. He hesitated, then just smiled. Thanks, for being my light. She didn't speak, just pressed her forehead lightly against his, whispering, then keep following it. Quote, outside, the snow kept falling, but inside, warmth bloomed quietly, 2 hearts, 1 unspoken promise. Unseen feelings. Time moved on. Missions grew tougher. So did Naruto. But every victory felt emptier when she wasn't there to see it. He began writing her small notes, messy, ink-smudged things, still alive. Still training. Still thinking of your smile. He never gave them to her. He just kept them folded in his pocket, near the old flower she'd once given him. Ino, meanwhile, caught herself glancing toward the village gates each time a new team returned, her heart quickening at the thought of blonde hair and an orange jacket. Her friends teased her. She brushed it off, but at night, when she closed her eyes, she could still feel the warmth of his hand on hers, the sound of his laugh, the way he looked at her like she was the only person in the world. Spring returns. When spring returned to Konoha, so did Naruto, from another long mission. The fields were blooming again, the air sweet with lilac and hope. He found her in the garden behind the shop, kneeling among the flowers. She looked up, surprise melting into joy. You're back, he grinned. Told you I would be. Without thinking, she stood and hugged him tightly. The scent of flowers surrounded him, familiar and safe. He hugged her back, whispering, missed you, Ino. Her answer was a soft laugh against his chest. Then don't stay away so long next time. They pulled apart slowly, eyes meeting. Nothing needed to be said. It was all there, in the warmth, the quiet, and the tiny petals drifting between them. A bloom between seasons. As days turned warmer, Ino began to notice it, the way her heart lifted every time she saw the orange blur passing by the flower shop window. Naruto had changed. His eyes were still bright, but there was a depth to them now, a quiet strength born from battle, pain, and perseverance. He'd grown taller too. Broader shoulders, sharper features. The boy who once stumbled over words was now the young man who inspired them. Welcome back, hero, she teased one morning when he stopped by. He scratched the back of his head, grinning. Hero, huh, you sure you're talking to me and not some cool guy like Sasuke? She rolled her eyes. Sasuke doesn't buy flowers for the old ladies in town. He blinked. How did you? I hear things, she said with a sly smile, handing him a small lavender bouquet. For courage and calm, you need both. Quote, Naruto looked down at the flowers, then at her. You always know what I need, don't you? Her heart skipped. Maybe I just pay attention. Hidden feelings, quiet moments. After that day, Naruto started showing up more often. Sometimes he'd help her carry crates of fresh blooms. Other times, he'd just sit near the counter, listening to her talk about customers or Shikamaru's laziness. It was peaceful, something he never thought he could have. One evening, as the sun dipped low, they closed the shop together. Naruto stood by the window, staring at the petals drifting in the breeze. You know, I used to hate flowers, he said softly. Ino laughed. That's a first. Why? They reminded me of things I didn't have, family, warmth, someone to come home to. Her smile faded. Naruto. He shrugged, forcing a laugh. But now I get it. Flowers aren't about having something, they're about hoping it'll grow again, even after it dies. Quote, Ino turned toward him slowly. You're not that lonely kid anymore. He looked at her, eyes gentle. Because of you. She froze, heartbeat quickening. I didn't. You smiled at me when no one else did, he said quietly. That smile, I think it saved me. The silence that followed wasn't awkward, it was full. Heavy with emotion. Then Ino looked down, cheeks pink. You say things that make it hard to breathe, you know that. Quote, he chuckled softly. Guess we're even. The rainy confession. A few weeks later, rain drenched the village. The streets shimmered under the storm as thunder rolled across the sky. Ino waited at the shop door, worried. Naruto was supposed to stop by after his mission, but he was late. When she finally saw him running through the rain, soaked and smiling, she felt relief flood through her. You idiot, she shouted, grabbing a towel and throwing it at him. You'll catch a cold. He grinned. You were worried about me, huh? Of course I was. You always get into trouble. He rubbed his neck sheepishly. Yeah, but seeing you makes it worth it. She turned away to hide her blush. You're impossible. Quote, the storm roared outside as she helped dry his hair. Her fingers brushed his skin, and suddenly, the distance between them vanished. Their eyes met. Time stopped. Ino. Yeah, she whispered. I don't know how to say this without sounding stupid, but, every time I see your smile, I feel like I can do anything. Her heart thudded painfully in her chest. That's not stupid. He hesitated, then reached out, his hand trembling slightly, and tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. Ino, he said softly, you're my light. You always have been. Rain pattered against the windows. Her breath hitched. She wanted to speak, to tell him how much she'd waited for him to say that, but all she could do was smile, tears mixing with rainwater on her cheeks. Then don't ever stop following it, she whispered back. He smiled through the storm, and in that small, quiet flower shop, the first spark of love bloomed. The festival promise. Weeks later, Konoha's annual flower festival filled the streets with lanterns and music. Naruto walked beside Ino, the crowd's laughter surrounding them like a dream. She wore a pale blue kimono with silver petals embroidered along the hem, simple, yet radiant. You look amazing, he murmured. Just amazing, she teased. He grinned. Fine, you look like the reason the festival exists. She laughed, lightly hitting his arm. You're learning fast. As they wandered through stalls, Naruto bought her a small paper flower charm. For luck, he said. Ino smiled, but her eyes softened. I don't need luck when you're beside me. They stood by the fireworks again, just like on graduation day. The night sky bloomed with color, and Naruto turned toward her. Hey, Ino, promise me something. What? No matter what happens, don't forget this, your smile's the reason I never gave up. She felt her throat tighten, tears threatening again. Then don't give me a reason to stop smiling. Quote, he grinned, that same bright grin she'd fallen for years ago. Never. The fireworks burst above them, painting their faces in gold. And in that moment, under the light of 1,000 colors, their hands found each other again, no words, just warmth, understanding, and a love that had quietly grown. Over years of hope. A mission and a moment. The following month, Naruto was called on a week-long escort mission outside the village. Ino tried to act casual when she heard, but something inside her tightened. She had lived through wars, seen friends come and go, yet the thought of Naruto walking into danger again brought an ache that words couldn't touch. He stopped by the shop before leaving, carrying his usual grin. You'll keep the flowers alive for me, right? He joked. Ino crossed her arms. I keep everything alive, including stubborn shinobi who don't know when to rest. Naruto's smile softened. I'll be back before you know it. Quote, he hesitated, then slipped a small folded note onto the counter. For when you miss me. She raised an eyebrow. What if I don't? Then open it anyway, he said, waving as he left. When the bell over the door fell silent, Ino opened the note. Inside, scrawled in messy handwriting. Greater than don't worry too much. Every mission ends the same way, I come home to your smile. Her fingers trembled. She pressed the paper to her heart and whispered, idiot, how do you always know what I need to hear? Quote, The return. The mission stretched longer than planned. 10 days. Each sunset without news carved new worry into her chest. Then, one evening, she heard shouting outside, Naruto's voice, bright and alive. She ran into the street just as he turned the corner, covered in dust but grinning from ear to ear. You're late, she said, half laughing, half crying. He rubbed the back of his neck. Got caught in a storm. Missed you though. Her words tumbled out before she could stop them. Don't do that again, okay? Don't disappear. His smile faded into something gentler. I won't. He reached out and brushed his thumb across her cheek, wiping away a raindrop, or maybe a tear. For a moment the world shrank to just that, his warmth, her breath, and the faint smell of flowers drifting through the night. Jealousy and truth. A few days later, they were invited to a small get-together with old classmates. Ino laughed and chatted, but her gaze kept finding Naruto, surrounded by friends, a few girls giggling at his jokes. When he finally walked over, she folded her arms. Popular now, huh? He blinked, confused. What? Nothing, she muttered, sipping her drink. He leaned closer. Are you jealous? Her eyes snapped up, as if. He grinned. You are. Keep talking and I'll mind transfer you into a frog. He laughed so hard half the room turned to look. Then he said softly, just for her, you don't have to be jealous, Ino. I only look for one smile. Her heart fluttered, anger melting into warmth. You really don't know how to shut up, do you? Quote, not when it comes to you. A night under lanterns. Later that night, after everyone left, Naruto offered to walk her home. The streets were quiet, the paper lanterns swinging gently in the breeze. They stopped near the bridge where they had trained years ago. The moon reflected in the river, silver and still. Ino rested her elbows on the railing. You ever think about how far we've come? Naruto leaned beside her. All the time. I used to think I'd never belong anywhere, then you showed up. Don't say things like that, she murmured, smiling sadly. Why not? Because it makes my heart hurt, in a good way. He chuckled. Then maybe I'll keep saying them until it stops hurting. She turned toward him, eyes shimmering in the moonlight. You're impossible. He took her hand, fingers intertwining with hers. Maybe, but you're the only one who makes me want to be. Quote, she didn't answer, she just leaned against him, the sound of the river whispering beneath them, their hands locked together as though afraid to let go. Unspoken words. The next morning, Ino woke to sunlight spilling across her window and realized that for the first time in years, she felt completely at peace. Yet peace, she knew, never lasted long in their world. When she went to the flower shop, she found a new message waiting, a simple note left by Naruto before dawn. Greater than training trip. Might be gone for a while. Don't worry, I'll come back stronger, so I can protect the one who gives me light. Her fingers trembled as she read it again and again. She smiled through her tears. I'll be waiting, Naruto, and I'll keep smiling, just like you asked. Quote, outside, the flowers swayed gently in the breeze, as if nodding in agreement. The return. After weeks of missions and training outside Konoha, Naruto finally returned. His body was tired, muscles aching, but his heart was full of thoughts of her, the smile that had guided him through every trial. The streets of the village were quiet as he approached the flower shop. A familiar scent hit him first, lavender and lilacs, a scent so tied to her it made his chest ache. Ino was kneeling among the flowers, humming softly to herself. When she looked up and saw him, her eyes widened, and a smile brighter than the sun spread across her face. Naruto, she called, dropping her trowel and running toward him. He caught her in his arms mid-run, laughing through the relief. Miss me? Of course I did, you idiot, don't you ever leave me like that again. He hugged her tighter, resting his forehead against hers. Never, I promised. For a long moment, neither spoke. They just held each other, the years of loneliness, hardship, and silent longing melting away. The smile that changed everything. Ino's hands rested on his chest, feeling the steady rhythm of his heart. She blinked back tears, smiling through them. You really are incredible, you know that. Naruto grinned, a little shy now. Nah, I'm only incredible because I had someone who believed in me. Her heart thudded. That's me, the one who always smiles, even when the world doesn't, he said softly. The one who makes everything feel worth it. She laughed, a mix of relief, happiness, and disbelief. You really do know how to make a girl feel special, Naruto Uzumaki. He tilted his head, his grin softening into something more tender. And you've always made me feel human again. Like I belong. A promise for the future. They sat together in the garden behind the shop, hand in hand, petals drifting around them. Naruto looked at her seriously. Ino, I don't know what the future holds. Missions, enemies, challenges, I might fail sometimes, I might get hurt. But there's one thing I do know. She tilted her head. What's that? I'll always come back to you. Your smile, it's my light. And I'll protect it, no matter what. Tears shimmered in her eyes. Then I'll always wait for you. And I'll keep smiling, Naruto, for you. He grinned, brushing a strand of hair from her face. Then we're even. Under the blooming flowers and soft evening sky, two hearts beat in perfect rhythm. The boy who had always been alone had found his light. And the girl whose smile could brighten even the darkest days had found someone who would never let it fade. As the sun dipped behind Konoha's rooftops, Naruto and Ino sat quietly together, hands entwined, hearts full of unspoken promises, and the gentle glow of a new beginning surrounding them. If you enjoy this fanfic, then please like and subscribe my channel Narutofix 11 for more fanfic. Thank you.